All right, Trip. I am discovering that I try to be very intentional about finding the brokenness, the emptiness in the world. And I do that for a reason. And I'm discovering that that reason is so that I don't have to deal with the emptiness inside of myself. Did you want this to be a therapy session? And as I'm discovering this, I'm realizing that I'm actually not very good at going to be present in the suffering and the emptiness of the world because I'm not present to my own emptiness. I mean, I think part of the truth of the saying, love your neighbor as you love yourself, is that you can't love your neighbor if you are not loving yourself. If you're ignoring the emptiness within yourself, you can't really go out into the world and be present to the emptiness out there. We live in a culture that doesn't want to admit our emptiness, our vulnerability. We don't want to admit that we have scars. Our mutual friend, Jason, was talking to me about the resurrection, and he was saying that when Jesus shows the scars on his hands to his disciples, he's basically saying, I dare you. I dare you to show your scars to each other. Jesus is the model of how we do this, but it's a hard dare to take up. I suppose it's because we live in a culture of exchange, and if I help someone, then I feel good about myself. But if someone helps me, I feel indebted to that person. I have a hard time receiving a free gift, which means I have a hard time receiving what God is doing in the world, because God only gives free gifts. God is grace, which means it's unmerited. It's not about what we do to earn it. It's about what God freely provides. And I think that's what God is doing in the world to fill up our emptiness. The problem is that we try to fill it up with all these non-God things: social status, buying the right clothes, the right cars, being in the right neighborhoods, and we know it's only going to lead to more emptiness. The only thing that can fill up our emptiness is the gracious love of God. But it's too easy. That news is too good. We don't trust it because we would rather continue pursuing the admiration of our fellow human beings than the love of God. And I think that God is filling up the empty places in our world by inviting us to participate in that grace, that unmerited grace of love, and extend that, share that with the world. But first it means receiving it and then sharing it with the world.